welcome to Storm Reads, and today I'm going to do my Amish in April wrap-up. I decided to go ahead and just wrap up it separately so that I wouldn't forget what I've read, because I'm probably going to already have a hard time trying to keep the books separate from each one of them. I read 3 books, and they're all cozy mysteries, and 2 of them were in the same series and 1 was a different series, so hopefully I can keep it in my mind separate so that I don't ramble them together, but we're gonna try. Anyway, Amish in April was a readathon that was from the 9th through the 18th, and it was hosted by Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books and Sarah from the Bookish Knitter, and so go check their channels out because they're really good, and I will post them down below so you can go do that. And so I'm going to talk about my books now, and the first one that I read was Shunned and Dangerous by Laura Bradford, and this is number 3 in the Amish mystery series. And in this one, there's a corn maze, and Claire goes through the corn maze one night, and while she's going through it, she finds the body of, is it Harry? Harley. And it was an H. Harley Zook. And the maze happens to be on Jacob's, I think it's his father. Yeah, his father's field. And so this is going to be a really hard investigation because Jacob is the detective in town, and he used to be Amish, but he left the Amish faith after being baptized, and so now he's been shunned by the Amish, and so he's not supposed to talk to any of his family. They're supposed to not pretend like he doesn't even exist. And it's a really hard life for him, but he likes being in heavenly because he can be close to his family and kind of keep an eye on them. But him and his father didn't get along very well even before he left. He has some unresolved issues with his father. And in this one, Harley Zook was the one Amish guy who backed Jacob when he chose to leave to become a policeman, because he did that to try to find out who killed Harley Zook's brother. And so, of course, he's kind of back him, and he's only one that ever appreciated what he'd done. And doing that, it made him kind of a bit of an enemy for Jacob's father. And so him being found on his father's property, of course, it's going to make his father a suspect, and he's going to have to try to talk to the Amish there, and of course his father is not going to want to talk to him. He has to send out other officers, but it's hard on him because a part of him thinks that his father could have been angry enough to do it, and then there's the other part that doesn't want to think that his father could do it, or any Amish could do it, because the Amish are not supposed to be that way. But that doesn't mean that, they can't get angry and hate just like anybody else. And so Claire has to help kind of investigate and see what's going on. And also in this one, she's her friend that works in the store with her, Esther, who is Amish, is going to be getting married, and she's finding out that she's going to be losing her person, because once the Amish girl marries, then they can't work outside the home. So that was kind of a bummer for Claire. And so, yeah, I really liked this one. It was really good. It was a little hard trying to figure out who the killer was. I suspected the person a couple of times, but then it was like, well, then I'm not sure or what. So I was on the right path. It just, the author did a really good job of veering me away from it and making me not think that that person was the person that done it. So I really liked it, and I really love the characters in here. And I feel like Claire sometimes with some of the things that the Amish do, because I don't understand Jacob being shunned for what he did when they're okay with turning the other cheek when somebody commits a crime against them, and sometimes that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. but it's the way that they are. And I mean, and Jacob accepts it. He knows he chose to leave the faith after he was baptized. He could have done it during like his Rumspringa and things like that, but he chose to be baptized and then leave, even though he was kind of being drawn to being a policeman before that, because he was really into that stuff even before the crime happened that made him decide to leave. So he has pretty much accepted the things that how they are, but he does like being close to his family and getting to see things, because him and Claire are friends, kind of going towards maybe they're going to be dating and stuff. She can bring him to functions as a date or whatever, as like her person, and then he can go to those things. So like he can be her date to Esther's wedding and things like that. And so you can tell that his family is really, really wanting them to get together, because then it'll give them a chance to be able to know Jacob, even though he's supposed to be shunned. But yeah, I really liked it. And then the next book in that series I read is number 4, and it's Suspendered Sentence by Laura Bradford. And in this one, they have a barn burns at the very beginning, and when they a whole bunch, because of the way the Amish are, they can like put a building up in like 2 days. So Jacob brings Claire to watch them. They're taking all the burnt wood and everything they do, and there's like hundreds of Amish there, and all these buggies everywhere, and all the women fixing food and all that stuff. And she was just kind of in awe of watching all that, and he thought she would enjoy watching that. And while they're watching, there's a young boy who is digging the ground, getting dirt, because it's still kind of smoldering and stuff. So they take the dirt and put the dirt on there, and kind of they're trying to get it all put out so that they can remove all of the burnt wood so that they can put up a new barn. And while he's doing that, he hollers for his dad, because he finds bones. And so Jacob immediately runs over there to see what's going on, and then they have a crime scene there, because they have found the human remains of somebody, and they're pretty sure, because of some of the stuff that was in there, that it was a young Amish girl that went missing during her Rumspringa, but they thought it was because she decided to become English, and some of her friends had mentioned, that she might have went to become English. So the parents had no idea that their daughter had been dead this whole time, because it's been like 19 years and everything. And so that one was pretty good, because it involves a lot of the people in town. Ben, who was married to a girl named Elizabeth, that you find out a lot about her in this. You also find out that she had a journal, and she was friends with Sadie, who's the one that was missing, and the bones that they found. And she had wrote a journal about some things, and it kind of implicates the fact that her and some other Amish might actually have known what happened to Sadie a long time ago. And so, yeah, it really kind of hits home with a lot of them that, how could these Amish, even though they were on their Rumspringa back then, and they were teenagers and they were young, but how could they, like, not tell what happened or whatever? You think of, a lot of people in even the town, like the Englishers, think of the Amish as being so good and so doing right all the time, but you get to find out that, they do things wrong sometimes. They're not perfect, especially when they're teenagers. They do bad things, and they get afraid and everything, just like everybody else. And this one, it was kind of hard to figure out. I had 2 suspects, and by process of elimination, I figured it out. But yeah, this one went in a little bit of a different direction on who done it. So I really enjoyed that. And I think this one might be probably my favorite one of the series so far. And so I'm really excited to continue on with the series. I'm hoping I can find the fifth book. I couldn't find it. It's not at my library. My library has the sixth and the seventh book, but they don't have the fifth book. So go figure. And so maybe I can eventually get my hands on that one somewhere, because I would like to continue on and finish up that series. And then, because I'm in this Discord group with a bunch of cozy lovers, and they were doing Amish in April, y'all know who you are. They were talking about the Amish Candy Shop series, and I wasn't going to read that. I only had 2 books on my TBR for Amish in April. But I've been planting my garden outside, and I found the first book on audio, so I decided to go ahead and listen to it. And so I listened to Assaulted Caramel by Amanda Flower, which is the first in the Amish candy store series, or candy shop series, or something like that. And I'll put a picture here, and I really enjoyed it. Now, let's see if I can keep it separated from the other series. This one is about Bailey. She's a chocolatier, and I works with a really famous chocolatier, and she's up for, I think it was head chocolatier or wherever she's at, because the other guy, I believe, is like retiring or something. But she gets a call that her grandpa has had, he's had something happen to him. He's really sick, and she needs to come home and check it out. And so she takes off, and you find out that her grandparents are Amish, and they live in this Amish town, and I don't remember what the town's name is, but they own this little chocolate shop, little candy store, and they're Amish, but Bailey's not Amish, because I think it was her father. Her father chose to leave the faith during his Rumspringa and everything. So she's grown up not being Amish, but she knows about the Amish because her grandparents are Amish. And she comes there to help them out. And while she's there she finds out that somebody, and I can't remember his name, but is trying to buy up a lot of the town stores. And he wants to buy her grandparents' store, and her grandfather doesn't want to sell. And then that guy ends up being dead later, and Bailey finds him, and he's been stabbed, and of course it was with the knife that she used earlier to cut chocolate, and it has her fingerprints on it, so she's going to be a suspect. And the sheriff in town does not like the Amish, and neither does this other detective that works there. But there is one that is he does like the Amish, because her grandparents actually helped him and his mother out whenever he was younger, and so he has a soft spot for her grandparents, and so he's not going to let her be railroaded, or her grandparents be railroaded, even though the other ones don't really care for the Amish. And she's kind of guilty by association, even though she's not Amish, her grandparents are. So you can tell that they're trying to do everything they can to pin it on her, even though she's not the one that done it. And so it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I had a little bit of a tough time figuring out who the killer was and everything. So I like it whenever the author can surprise me. And sometimes when it's an audio that I'm listening to and I'm doing something else, sometimes some things kind of slip through and I miss things. So then it makes it harder for me to figure out who the killer was. But yeah, I really liked it, and I will be continuing on with this series. And I'm happy with what I did. I wasn't going to do like the bingo board, but I did end up getting my 3 C's for the bingo board. I did crime, contemporary, and cozy, and so that made a line that went like that way on the board. I don't actually have a picture of it, but I actually completed it, so I was excited about that. So I'm happy with how my Amish in April went. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.